Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the July 14th, 2025 Planning Board meeting. I am acting as chair tonight because our chair, Richard Fahn, has gotten involved in some stormwater issues. This time not on paper, but in real life. And Greenberg is dealing with the brunt of tonight's rain, and so I hope all goes well. Would you please rise and join in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We just have two items under correspondence. One is a notice of intent to act as lead agency on behalf of the Yorktown Heights Fire District. And the other item, I believe, is a memo from our department, planning department, in reference to the Navajo Street project. Any discussion on any of the correspondence items?
No.
Any issues, John?
I have no issues, just a note that the memo on Hidden Valleys is in progress, so it's draft for your consumption.
Okay, so we can either review it and put comments in as you wish?
Yes.
Okay.
You have to review it now at a later date.
I believe the town board's hearing is open till the end of the month, roughly, so we have some time to review this and see what we want to do. Unless there are any comments now, we'll move to the minutes. Have you had a chance to review the meeting minutes of last meeting?
Yes.
Any corrections or changes?
None.
All right, I'll entertain a motion to accept.
Motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, thank you.
Chairman, I abstain as I was not present at the meeting.
That shall be noted. Regular session of the meeting, I am going to go through the items here. The first item is the Colangelo Major Subdivision. This is a request for two 90-day time extensions located at 1805 Jacob Road. Good evening.
Good evening, Joseph Rena, the Principal Site Design Consultants. As outlined in Jerry Tortorella's letter, we're requesting the extensions. I think she detailed pretty well why we're still in the waiting game here.
And there's no changes other.
No changes. No.
Any comments from the board?
None.
John?
Nothing here.
Motion to grant the requested extensions?
Motion.
Motion.
Second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay, that passes. Thank you.
Thank you.
And the next item is Dorchester Glen Major Subdivision. This is a request for a second 90-day time extension located at 1643 Maxwell Drive.
Good
Same.
evening, Joseph Rena, Principal Site Design Consultants. We're patiently awaiting the Health Department to sign the plat. It's the last step. They've already given us their verbal approval, and it's just a matter of getting everyone to sign it at the Health Department that's required. Otherwise, that'll put us in a position to complete the process.
Any comments or questions?
None.
John?
Nothing here.
Motion?
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Thank you. That motion carries.
Thank you.
Let's get the next item we have is the Lamp subdivision. This has gone through the full approval process.
Jody was affected by the flooding, so she won't be here tonight.
This project is located at 357 Crow Hill Road. It's a minor subdivision, and we have resolutions in front of us. Is there any discussion on the resolutions from the board?
No.
No.
Anything, John? Any comments? Nope.
We're ready to go on this.
All right, the first item is a negative declaration, basically stating that there are no adverse environmental impacts from this project. Do I have a motion on the neg deck?
Motion.
Or a second?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, the neg deck carries, and then we have... Pardon? We didn't do that before? Okay, I'll do that. Is there a motion to declare the planning board the lead agency on this project?
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Do the neg deck again then.
Okay, I will ask to remove move again the negative declaration, not remove it. Motion.
Motion?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay. We do the resolution now?
Yes.
Let me go back to that. This is a resolution approving the Lamp subdivision, the minor subdivision. Have you had a chance to review it? No issues?
Motion.
Motion to approve the resolution as drafted?
Motion.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Nay.
4 to 1. Okay, motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you, Don.
And good luck. Next item on our agenda is a public hearing in connection with Poggiariali Daycare Center located at 2829 Crampon Road. This is proposed daycare center or preschool on a 33,403 square foot lot in the R180 zone on Route 202. Good evening.
Good evening. Steve Marino, principal with Tim Miller Associates. I'm here this evening with Vincent and Christina Poggiariali for their proposed daycare center on Crampon Road. We've been to the board for some time now discussing this project. We've gone through the public information hearing. Based on that hearing and comments we've received from both the planning board, planning department, and the town's consultants, we've made some modifications to the plan, which we discussed at the last meeting. And at this time, we're ready for a public hearing. I'll just kind of summarize real quick where we are with the project for the sake of the public. The applicant is proposing a 2,000 square foot addition behind an existing building at 2829 Crampon Road. The current site plan shows 19 parking spaces, up from 12 when we originally started talking about the project, in response again to planning board and consultant comments. Another change is that there were originally 2 separate driveways, one going in and one going out. Discussions with the town's traffic consultant, as well as informal discussions with the DOT, resulted in one 24-foot wide access to the site, in and out now, both at the same curb cut. Daycare center is a relocation of an existing facility in Yorktown that's been in operation for more than 12 years and is currently serves up to 50 families. Children vary from full day to part day. Schedule is maintained so that drop-off and pickup of children is staggered in both the morning and the afternoon. That relates to traffic questions. Facility is open from 6:30 a.m. to 6 p.m. Monday to Friday. There is an existing watercourse on the property along the western edge of the property. Was delineated and confirmed by the town's wetland consultant. We also brought DEC to the site in light of the new DEC regulations. There is a wetland off-site to the south, New York State wetland. So there is a buffer that extends onto the property from New York State as well. We are within the wetland buffer to the watercourse along the town's watercourse along the western part of the property. So as part of this application, we are seeking a wetland permit for that activity. Let's see, buffer. No tree cutting is proposed within the new buffer. Provision has been made for wider site access, as I said, to Route 202. Bureau of Fire Prevention has met and discussed the project and has no significant objections to the project. Stormwater management practices, which do not currently exist on the site, are proposed for the area south of the proposed parking. It's set up now so that cars will enter the site. Patrons will park in one of the 19 parking spots, bring the children indoors, and then pull out again through that same access. We're anticipating right now the consideration of a right in and a right turn out due to traffic on 202, but that will be fleshed out more as we go through our DOT process to get the state DOT permit. I think the last thing I wanted to mention is that the parking spaces on the site are proposed to be pervious pavers. So they will be pervious in the parking spaces So only the central aisle really will be paved, which will help with stormwater management. Again, there's proposed in-ground stormwater management on the southern end of the site. There have been some final modifications to the engineering plan, which I just received today. I know that we're coming back in August for a continuation of final, hopefully a second and final meeting of the public hearing. I'll have all those updated plans submitted to the board in time for that meeting. We did revise the wetland mitigation plan to acknowledge, now with the new driveway location and the new setup of the parking, the edge of our paved area is now further to the east than it was before, so we're actually have less encroachment into the buffer as well as a result of this revised project. The reason we're back in August is I guess there was some confusion about the notification, so this public hearing needs to be continued to the August meeting. I think I had that right, Ian? I think that's what happened, right? Yeah. And I think, unless there's specific questions from the board other than what we've been talking about up to this point, I think we're ready for the public to hear what they have to say.
I just have one question on
Okay,
the
go ahead.
right turn in and right turn out. How is the entranceway wide enough to accommodate a left turn from 202?
Yes, that's why we went to the 24-foot wide. It's a 24
Okay, so it's wide
24 foot
enough
wide
to
is now wide
accommodate
enough, yes.
both. Good.
On a similar point, you said that you're waiting for DOT to resolve whether you need to make right turn only.
Well, when we go for the curb cut application with the DOT to get the approval for this setup on the state road, we'll see what their concerns are. We haven't formally met with them yet, so there's the possibility that they'll require right in and right out only because of the traffic on 202. But because there is a light just further to the west, that does create a gap for making a left turn into the site, so the DOT may not.
When do you anticipate having that response?
I think as soon as the public,
You have a note in your book.
I have a note, I have a letter in our record from DOT dated July 2nd, which
I haven't
talks,
seen that.
which
to be
speaks
honest with
to
you, I
that
haven't seen
issue.
it.
So you may want to review it because it says it's really not up to them, it's up to us as to whether or not we're going to do that.
Oh, okay, no.
So are you suggesting that people would make a left turn from 202 into the space?
Right now, we're proposing right turn in and right turn out.
Okay.
That's our proposal. The left turn in is an option. If DOT, I don't know that they would require it, but if DOT recommends it, and apparently,
How
Yeah,
would
leave
they
it to the-
prevent
You
it?
need to see the letter that they wrote. I can
Yeah.
read it to you, but
no, again, we're gonna be back in August, so we'll have time to review that and respond to that.
I'm assuming that the original building on the property is going to stay?
The
at one
original
point?
building original building's gonna say it's a rental, a residence, a rental. There will be a breezeway connecting it to the new building behind. And behind that, further to the south, will be the playground area, which is currently maintained as lawn, as flat area, so that we don't anticipate any site disturbance to create the playground there. There'll just be some playground things brought in.
So the lot, as it is now designed, has no circulation. The idea is people would pull in order to get out, you'd have to make
There's
a
a-
three-point turn.
There's a hammerhead of sorts there at the end. You can see that you can pull in and pull back out to the right there and then,
Yep.
and then back out again. For those spots that are all the way at the end.
okay. Any other?
Well, yeah, there's one last question. So
Yeah.
originally when we looked, there was a drop-off point, I
Right.
believe, right? Is that still considered or
No,
now?
no. There's
People
gonna be,
park,
you
they
park, you walk the child in, walk out and leave.
Yeah,
Okay.
that makes sense.
There was some
That
concern
makes-
about, there was some
makes sense.
concern about the drop-off thing, so.
Walking the kid in the door.
Okay.
You don't drag a child kicking and screaming out of the car.
Well, that's true.
Come on.
Anything else from the board? Is there anyone from the public who wishes to speak on this matter? And then I have a couple of written comments which I'm going to put in the record. Yes, step up.
Hello there, thank you. My name is Catherine Fader. I live at 2594 Old Yorktown Road, which is right at the corner of 202 and 132. You do probably have a letter from me. I do want to say that I've tried to send letters about this 3 times now. My first time was on December 12th. I did send a letter the afternoon of the zoning board meeting. I had asked to have my letter read that night. I don't think it was ever read. I did come to the most recent meeting on May 19th. Unfortunately, I arrived at 7:10, and you guys are so quick that you had already passed. You're so efficient, you'd already passed. So I didn't have a chance to speak at that time either. So I do believe you were forwarded a letter, but I did want to speak. We live across the street there, right at the corner. We moved there 11 years ago, and since we've lived there, I'm not exactly sure of the number, but I would say there's been anywhere between 15 and 20 accidents at that corner since we have lived there.
Which corner?
The corner of 202 and 132.
Thank you.
Okay. I don't have the exact number, but I can tell you we had a very bad one just a few months ago that wiped out our electricity right there at the corner. They still haven't completely repaired it. And just yesterday, I had the cops come knock on my door to ask if a woman whose battery had died in front of our house could back into our driveway so that she could wait safely for a tow truck. So it is a very busy intersection, and I think you all know that. So my husband and I, our main concerns about this establishment, and believe me, we're all in favor of a daycare. We think it's a wonderful and noble profession in business. We just are concerned about this particular location. Our main concerns are the traffic flow. I can tell you, let me just read so that I don't say anything incorrect, that Route 202 is an extremely hectic road, and the property in question is just east of the very busy intersection, 202 and 132. Since we moved to this intersection 11 years ago, there have been multiple accidents at the intersection. We often go around the block to pull into our driveway rather than trying to make a left turn across the traffic. We can only hypothesize that a preschool daycare that we were told would serve 40-plus children would lead to many parents turning in and out of the driveway at rush hour between 7 and 9 a.m. and in the evening between 4 and 6, which is already an extremely busy time on the road. I can tell you when I wanted to take my children to the high school in the morning, I would often wait up to 10 minutes to turn on to 202. And so you're going to have parents trying to turn out of there at that very busy time when everybody's trying to get to the high school, the middle school, etc. So it will back traffic up, and they will be honking in front of my house, which I don't look forward to. I think that it's also very busy because in the morning you have the easterly sunrise, and in the afternoon you have the westerly sunset. And I think that some of the accidents at that corner are literally because people are blinded by the light going one way or the other. So I hope that was taken into consideration. I do think it would be a hazard for families picking up and dropping off their children. I did look over the site plan. I'm a little confused because the most recent site plan dated, June 27th has a circular drive, which I was really excited about because I thought at least that way you will have a flow. You'll have people going in, circling around, coming out. Perhaps I can understand parking. Maybe that makes the flow better somehow. I just do fear that there will be a backup on 202, and that will cause problems. Like I said, I don't look forward to hearing the honking. I'm also concerned about noise. I mean, we do live at a hectic intersection, so we know what we bought into, but we do still enjoy the peace and quiet of a residential neighborhood. Looking at the plans for the facility, if it's to accommodate that many children, not only do we see that it's going to require building of a very large another building, which will be noise for a time, but also just children, I'm sure, will be out playing a lot throughout the day, and that's going to definitely change, and it's not just a normal residential level of volume. I've worked at daycare centers. Like I said, I'm all in favor of having a wonderful, caring, loving place for children, but I'm a little concerned about having this type of business in what is a residential and park neighborhood. And my last concern that I just added today was really looking at the site plan, which I see this image does improve upon, is that we do have that lovely little creek that goes across our property under 202, continues along the edge of this property and into the park. So I do see that here accommodations are made for the wetland consideration. But again, I think the previous driveway with a circle would be safer. So I guess, you're going to have to decide if you go forward with this project, which of those things you're going to sacrifice, the wetland or the safety. And I just thank you for listening to me. I appreciate you considering my comments. Thank you.
Before you
Yes.
sit down, since you are right there all the time.
Yes.
One of the things we're considering is not allowing someone to make a left across.
Absolutely not.
And if
I
we
would
only have
never
a right
allow that.
turn in and a right turn out only, so you're
Yes.
only on the eastbound,
Yes.
side.
I heard them saying that, and I think that
You think
would
would that
be
would that-
helpful.
Okay.
But I still, look, I've worked at so many schools and daycares, and I know what, and camps and dance studios, and I know what the traffic flow is at drop-off time. It's very intense. And if you take out that circle drive, I just can't imagine that that's not going to cause congestion. But I don't know.
Okay.
I'll read the traffic study because it was just brought to my
And
attention.
take a look at the new,
Yeah, I will do
and
that.
we're gonna come back next month.
Okay. And by the way, I never got a letter about this evening's hearing. I don't know why.
And maybe that's one of the issues that
I never
be
received.
resolved. Okay.
Okay. But it was brought to my attention, and I appreciate that. But, that's a little frustrating to not know.
I believe that will be corrected by the time the next meeting comes around.
Okay, I appreciate it. Like I said, I'm all in favor of such a business, but I do have concerns in that location. So,
Thank you.
thank you.
Is there anyone else who wishes to speak?
Hi, good evening, Susan Siegel. I'm speaking just as a private citizen here. Could you clarify a process question? The issue has come up about the left turn and the planning board's responsibility and the DOT's responsibility. You said, according to that letter, which might be helpful if you read it out, that DOT is saying it's the planning board's responsibility. So if you pass a resolution saying, at what point does the applicant have to go to the DOT and get the curb cut permit, and could they change something saying that if for some reason they want the left turn after the planning board has said no left turn? So that's one question. And then also, if you keep to the right only, can the site plan show that at the access to 202 sufficient obstacles, the way I've seen things designed, so that there's absolutely no way somebody could make the left turn if they wanted to without really screwing up their own car? So those are my only, as I say, they're process questions, because I think the left turn is the issue.
I think that's a state road, and I think DOT would have to, if you're talking about putting an obstacle.
No, within the driveway, on the property. I have seen places where I think like you have when you
Have an island.
when you access at Lowe's, from not the main entrance, but the one after Trader Joe's and so forth, you can only go right. But can the concrete barrier be, I guess, high enough so that a determined driver can't make the left turn, is what I'm saying. And I just don't know. It's not being an engineer. But I'm sure there are drivers who don't follow what you put down.
You're not following it at Lowe's as it is, even
Oh.
with that special design.
Okay, so then that's a design question, as you review the engineering plan. I'm just saying, can it be constructed in such a way as to just make it more difficult, if not impossible?
I have a question. Isn't that the same traffic issue that was dealt with on the Seed when they expanded theirs? John?
The left turns?
I think when the Seed was expanded, they have a drop-off procedure, and I believe it's only right way out.
I believe it was at one time, and I'd have to check if that was changed.
I've never
So it
seen
should, yeah.
anyone attempt to make a
Yeah.
left turn out of there. I think maybe just finding out how they addressed it would be useful, but I'm sure that was the same traffic pattern. You could make a left in, but you couldn't make a left out.
Well,
I mean,
it's
you
just
could.
like people don't obey traffic lights and stop signs and everything
yeah.
else, but we
Let's see.
have to deal with that. Okay, thank you.
Is there anyone else who wishes to speak? All right, I want to just review two things. Number one is the letter from July 2nd from the DOT, and I'll read it out loud so people can understand what they have to say. It says, "The New York State DOT does not feel that lefts need to be restricted for this entrance. If the town would like to restrict left turns out, we would support that decision. But this facility looks like it will not generate a large volume of those turns and interfere with the natural traffic flow. We would not require the restriction if the town did not specifically want it. and if it becomes an issue in the future, then they could revisit it. That's the memo. It's an email from an engineer at DOT. So that kind of throws the ball back to us.
And again, our proposal is for a right turn in, right turn out, and
And
the town's consultant did show kind of a diagram of how that would work in the neighborhood, and we don't oppose that.
Yeah, I mean, DOT is approaching it from how much traffic is going to be added, but we have to consider how much traffic's already there, I think. You know, going by, we all live with that from time to time, if not every day, like some people. The other thing I have, one other letter of comment, which I just want to make sure gets in the record. It's from Aura Villagran, and it's dated May 18th. I have an objection with having a daycare next door to my house for the following reasons. The weekends are hard already, having a baseball field that I didn't think could be so loud on weekends, so we deal with that, and now having a daycare right next door during the week. It would be a nightmare week and weekend, and I hope you can understand my objection and take it into consideration. So that letter will be part of the record. Is there anyone else before I get to you? Okay, Steve.
I think we're set for this evening. We look at the questions that were, issues that were brought up this evening. We'll have some responses for the next meeting. And we'll be able to clarify the process with the DOT at that meeting as well.
Okay, thanks. Motion to adjourn.
Motion. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Okay. Hearing's adjourned till the next time. Thank you. You're welcome. Where'd my agenda go? Next item is a public informational hearing. This is in connection with the application of AMS Adult Active Adult Community located at 800 East Main Street.
Good evening.
Formally opening that hearing, good evening. The difference between a public informational hearing and a public hearing in Yorktown is unique to us in that this is designed more to help us ferret out issues that we need to consider and to make sure that the public is aware of these applications at an early stage. This is not the public hearing itself, but this is midway through a process that's begun, and we're looking at fine-tuning this application before we go to the next step. So I will now turn it over to you.
I appreciate it. Thank you. Just so you know, I'm Peter Farrow. I'm a vice president with AKRF. I'm the planner on the project. Normally you would hear from Mark Weingarten, but he is somewhere floating away on the Taconic. For those of you who don't know, southern Westchester is underwater at the moment.
Hold on a second. I'm sorry. You need to open the hearing.
Oh.
Please.
I declared it open, but if I need a motion to do that.
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Sorry about
Permission.
Go
I
ahead.
won't say the whole thing again, but I'm Peter Farrow with AKRF and the project planner. Happy to be here. Mark Weingarten sends his apologies, but we are joined by just about everyone else on the project team. So Ryan Sutherland with AMS Acquisitions, Colin with Binefield Architecture, Jorina with Jorina and Site Design Landscaping, and Samantha with SLR Consulting, the landscape architect for the project. So with your permission, I'll run through briefly
Sure.
where we are in the project, and I'll try not to take a lot of your time because we have been here a few times, and I think you and the public probably have a good sense of where we are. So if you want to go to the next slide, Joe. So just a quick note on the process to date. While the acting chairman had said we're about halfway through the planning board site plan process, that's absolutely true. But we started this process back in October of 2022. We submitted a petition to the town board to rezone the project site at 800 East Main Street, which is the former contractor's register site. We went through an environmental impact statement process, an EIS process, with several opportunities for public comment and response, including a scoping session on the DEIS back in April 2023, a public hearing on the full DEIS in the fall of 2024, and in May 2025, the EIS process concluded, the town board adopted a statement of findings, which concluded the secret process, and rezoned the project site from office business to RSP2. The applicant then submitted a site plan application to this board. We appeared at the last meeting and scheduled this public informational session. So briefly, a quick history of the project before I get into what the project actually is. We started back, as I said, in October 2022 with a project for 250 age-restricted senior living units on the site. We studied several alternatives in the EIS, and we settled on, together with the town board adopted findings approving the final project, the current project. So we started at 250. We studied various alternatives, including one at 185 units. We are now at 180 units, age-restricted housing, all rentals. And the important piece from the planning perspective is that the project is now reduced in size and in scope so as to stay within the existing disturbed footprint up at the project site. So that 6.3 acres of disturbance on the project site with the current project is by and large about 6.2 acres of already disturbed site. So we're taking down the existing buildings, putting up new buildings, reconfiguring a parking lot, and expanding the driveway. So if you want to go to the next slide. During this process, there were a lot of moving pieces and a lot of environmental topics that were studied. All of the alternatives, including a full traffic study where we studied 11 intersections for traffic impacts, and found that with the project there would be an impact at 2 of those 11 intersections, and that is at Route 6 and East Main Street, and then at East Main and what we were calling Old Route 6, which is the drive up to the project site. So if you go to the next slide, the proposal to mitigate that traffic impact, which was approved by the town board as part of the rezoning, is to signalize that intersection with what's called a clustered traffic signal. And that traffic signal would have 2 signal heads, so on the main line of Route 6 and then again at East Main Street, but it would be run as a single traffic signal with a single controller. And what this is going to do is protect the traffic movements, those left-hand turns off of Route 6 onto East Main, and allow for the traffic in the afternoon hour coming off of East Main onto Route 6 to not have to queue to provide its own dedicated space. Those traffic lights would be coordinated with the lights at the Taconic, and would have the option of being able to be coordinated with the traffic lights at Lee Boulevard. It could all be part of one system. With this improvement, as well as a couple what we call restriping improvements and lengthening the left-hand queue lane, the traffic conditions at these intersections would operate better than in existing conditions. That's with our project and taking into account 4 other no-build projects that could happen within this corridor. In addition, it has the potential to reduce cut-through traffic. So this is what the town board has approved for mitigating this impact. It is now up to the state DOT to permit this improvement, and we're in that process now. It will not be a quick process with the DOT, but it will be a thorough process. So we are starting that now, and we're excited for that. So a few other items of note that came out of this EIS process. There were several mitigation measures and project components that were required by the town board to be included in the project as it goes forward in the site plan process. Obviously, the stormwater pollution prevention plan, we're going to reuse the existing basins on the site, enlarge them a little bit, modernize them. We're going to limit tree removal to the winter time to avoid impacts to migratory birds and any bat species that may be up there. We're going to mitigate the tree removal in accordance with the code. We're going to replace the sewer pump station on East Main Street that currently serves the project site as well as a few other homes in that area. There'll be a construction management plan detailing all the comings and goings and mitigations associated with construction. The good thing about the large project site and it being away from other properties is that there won't be any parking, queuing, staging of materials off the site. Everything will be on site. We're also going to conduct pre-construction survey and vibration monitoring at the Hyatt House to ensure that there's no damage to that house from construction. And then all of the site lighting will be LED, full cutoffs, dark sky compliant. The landscaping will be designed for climate resilience and sustainability. And again, all of this was mandated through the environmental review process. So this is if you go one more, this is the slide I meant to put at the beginning, and I guess I missed it. This is the project. So we have 2 multifamily buildings, 4 stories each, around a central courtyard. The building on the right is the southern building. The building on the left is the northern building, because north is left on this plan. We're going to maintain the existing site access and entryway, the existing ring road, and the majority of the existing parking lots. 2 of the parking lots will get slightly reconfigured. One gets a little smaller, one gets a little bigger, but the majority of them are staying the same. What is going to change a little bit is the entry drive. It is going to be widened to the north or uphill side, and this is to allow additional emergency access. In the EIS process, we had envisioned a raised center median with kind of grasscrete pavers along the way. In speaking with the fire department, they preferred a different solution. They preferred that central median, but it to be planted in some sections and then flush in other sections, planted and flush, so that if there is a blockage in one lane, they can get around it. And this was the change that was made from the DEIS project. I'll point out there are still 180 dwelling units, apartments, 61 bedrooms, 122 bedrooms, 271 parking spaces, amenities, which we'll go through in a bit. You can see a good portion of them are within the interior courtyard, as well as to the north of the project site in what is currently a parking lot, as well as interior amenities as well. And I should point out that this site plan is fully zoning compliant, as the town board had rezoned the project site. One other change of note, the southern building, which in those top 2 plans, it's a section view. The southern building is to the left. In the top, that's a section from the DEIS as we anticipated it. In the middle is a section from the current plan. And while it's a little difficult to see, what I want to point out is that there's actually one fewer floor in the southern building in the current plan than in the DEIS. So instead of having a full basement and then 4 floors above it in the DEIS plan, we have like a double height space coming in, and then nothing in the back as the site goes uphill, and then 2 floors above it. So that southern building, in the bottom picture, you're looking at an elevation looking straight in on the southern building. You can see the northern behind it now sits about 1 story lower in appearance than it did in the DEIS. Doesn't change a whole lot from off-site visual impacts. You still really can't see it. It's below the tree line. But it does present a different kind of view as you drive up the site and look into the site. You'll be able to see that northern building behind it. So if you go to the next slide, and I played with the contrast and I couldn't get it to come out that well, and I apologize. But what we're looking at here on the left-hand side of the screen in the forest, there are some faint orange lines. These are represent, thank you, Joe, a proposed walking path. This is a path that was walked by Samantha, I believe, and her colleague Jason. And they walked the site to come up with what would be an interesting walk, and a walk that was doable, that was not too challenging. It won't be ADA accessible. We're not clearing trees, but it takes advantage of the natural topography. It goes through the existing breaks in the stone walls. It goes by various rock outcrops and overlooks, and is about 3/4 of a mile in distance all the way around if you don't take the cut through in the middle. And this is going to be a really good feature. This was something else that was committed to during the EIS process, and we're really excited to be able to offer this to our residents to kind of complement the amenities that are proposed closer into the site. And as you see, it kind of starts and ends right at that central amenity site where we have our tennis court, our community garden, putting green, and other outdoor amenities. So we think it's going to be a really nice focal point for kind of getting outdoors and enjoying the site. If you go to the next slide, this is a sketch of the tree removal plan. Approximately 240 trees removed, which, by the way, is down from about 1,250 when we first started this project. So we're pretty excited about that as well. Most of the trees are within the existing footprint of the building. They were put there when the contractor's register was built. The ones that are highlighted in orange are species that we really don't want to be there anyway. Bradford pears and some other invasive maples. So we're looking to get rid of those. You'll see some highlights in the stormwater basins. Those trees shouldn't be there. The stormwater basin's not really doing its job if there's a tree there. So those are coming out as well. And we are in its stead, of those 240, about 45 of them are dying anyway, and there's another 20 or 25, that's the numbers, that are also invasive, as we've shown. So if you go to the next slide, it's a plan view of our landscaping plan. It does not do the full plan justice in its color, but what I want to point out is kind of how robust it is. Everything in the darker colors, the darker outlines you can see, those are new plantings of trees, shrubs, grasses. That front lawn that is now kind of that mowed lawn coming up to the site will be removed, be replanted with native vegetation and the beginnings of forest species so that forest can actually fill in. And the thought with which this plan was put together is pretty amazing. So about 116 trees are going in, plus, again, an incredible quantity of shrubs and other features. And if you go to the next slide, that one didn't come out. If you go to the next slide, we'll just skip that one. It's fine. This is our Picasso version of the interior courtyard. This one looks better anyway than the plan view. This is the interior courtyard. You're at the southern building looking north, and what you see here is the existing courtyard that's there between the two buildings now. And what we're going to be doing is kind of creating a whole bunch of different spaces within that courtyard. Some passive spaces on the lower end where you see the different terrace decks, pathways, an existing rock outcropping that we're keeping, a pool on the upper deck with some outdoor lounging, some barbecue stations, a little waterfall feature, and really it's going to be a tremendously beautiful space that really is going to be the showpiece of the community, and we're very much looking forward to that. So if you go to the next slide, the next steps for us in terms of the process is referral out to the various boards. We were at the Conservation Board last week. They returned a letter. Hopefully it made it to you as well, in which they gave the project and the landscaping and tree plan very positive recommendation. We'll be at the Abaca tomorrow night, and tonight's our public informational hearing. So we received comments from the planning department there, which we will address. They were relatively limited in nature given the fact that we've been at this for a little while. And then we'd be looking to your board to schedule a public hearing on the project itself and have us answer any questions that you may have, or the public. And that is it.
Thank you. Any questions, comments from the board? Any comments from the public? Anyone wish to speak?
Susan Siegel, just speaking for myself. Again, it's a process issue. Could you tell me whether this has been referred out to the Recreation Commission? Because I'm asking because it was either in the rezoning resolution or in the binding statement, there was a reference to the planning board considering the recreation component in state law. I don't remember what the number is, because in town law, the RSP2 does not have a recreation requirement. But I think the Recreation Commission would like to weigh in on this, because some of the residents, even though there is a very impressive recreation component on site for the residents, there's likely to be some of the residents will be using some town facilities for different reasons. So I would appreciate your asking for their recommendations.
Has it been referred to the Recreation?
I don't know.
Commission?
We
I'm
have
just,
to check, see, I don't know.
Yes.
Well,
it has been. Okay, thank you.
Anyone else wish to speak?
I have a question.
Go ahead.
On, just a little one. On the traffic, you've made an application to DOT. And I'm thinking of some other items that were on the agenda when last we met. I believe it was the proposed zone change for Hidden Valleys. And you're dealing with basically the same area. I don't think they've ever made an application. What was the date of the traffic study that was done that was the basis of your last submission?
I'll have to look that up. If you go to near the beginning, Joe, I can probably get you close to it. Yeah. So the traffic study was included in the July 2024 DEIS. So it would have been dated probably July 2024. And DOT made preliminary comments on that traffic study and preliminary comments on the preliminary application. And we responded to those comments from the environmental review perspective in the FEIS, and now we're responding to the technical comments in our next stage application. The DOT application process is multi-staged. You kind of keep going and going. But yeah.
Answer your question?
Did that answer your question?
Pretty much at this point, but I do have another quick question. What are you proposing exactly for recreation?
So we
Just
are
what's on site, or?
correct. So we are proposing a pretty robust amenity package. So interior to the building, the Collins here, we can go through the interior amenities package. We can give that full presentation of kind of what we're proposing, but there'll be club rooms, fitness rooms, game rooms, meeting rooms, all sorts of things inside, and then
That's restricted to the occupants, correct?
Correct, and the section of town law that Ms. Siegel was referring to talks about the adequacy of on-site recreational facilities to meet the needs of the residents at this.
So as of right now, you're not proposing anything that would be a contribution to the municipal recreation program?
Correct. So that was studied in the EIS and kind of put to this time in the process, in the site planning process, to go through where you could look at the different amenities that are being proposed, and in the context of the demands that might be placed on it.
So you're saying that this issue was studied already?
Mhm.
The impacts were assessed and determined, is that
No.
right?
Not exactly.
Not exactly. No, it was analyzed, but the impacts were not. The impacts were assessed for the point of environmental review. Would there be a significant adverse impact? No, there wouldn't be a significant adverse
Okay.
impact. What would happen when we come to site plan still
Hasn't
needed
done
to be
it.
determined.
That still needs to be done.
Correct.
That's under your authority to do.
Right.
So the town board did not deal
Town
with that?
board didn't figure out what the final
Right.
recreation package is.
So that's
Up to you.
still in play.
Yes.
Correct. And since we were last here, I think the walking trails are kind of the new piece that, I don't know if it was here the last time we were here or no. Oh, it was that day. I think it was here.
Everything's in play, I'd like to say.
Okay. So Aaron, just a comment. I attended the site walk a couple of weeks ago now. This is a gem of a site.
Oh, it's
That-
beautiful.
I think the applicant and everybody involved has done a phenomenal job in outlining the possibilities and the potential of what it could be. And part of it that I was really impressed with was all of the recreational facilities. The walking path is a bonus in many regards. But, from pickleball courts, everything you can imagine. So I think they've done a great job, and I can't imagine that an occupant or somebody who's living there is going to need anything other than what's really on site. If they need that, they won't even need to join a gym. So it's pretty impressive.
Yeah, Rich and I have a site visit scheduled, I think, for tomorrow. Is it in the afternoon?
Yes.
Yeah.
Sorry, I didn't know that.
And I think
I was like,
what shouldn't
We
get
didn't
lost.
do the first one.
What shouldn't get lost here is kind of the reuse of the existing footprint that's there. Lots of folks would come in and just say, not my idea, I don't want to do that, but they've done a phenomenal job, I think, in creating an environment, making use of what's there in terms of the impervious surfaces and everything else. So very well done.
I gotta agree, 100%.
The way it seems to fit into the site, too.
Yeah.
Topographically,
And it's only gotten as we kind of I'm sorry, the design professionals started. I'm just the planner. Started really digging into it. Right, it got more sensitive. Right, that southern building kind of shrunk, and so everything got a little more sensitive as the design got more fine tuned.
I'm sure you're aware, there is a heritage site that is protected up on that hill. Is it earmarked by anything that you are doing or showing?
On this property?
I never heard of that.
Down the hill, you mean? On the road, on the entrance?
Up on, past the property.
Past,
Past the right. So no, nothing is being impacted by this. So we did coordinate with the State Historic Preservation Office because we're staying within the footprint of the existing disturbance. They came back to us and said they don't have any issues because any ground disturbance would be in areas that were already disturbed. That was what they had said.
Is the complex gonna make note of the project, this particular site?
I'm not actually certain exactly where this site is that you're referring to. I'm sorry.
John, you can correct me if I'm wrong. I believe it's north of your construction area, and it would be to the left of your trails.
In between our site and the Taconic?
Yes.
Are you saying on their site?
No, it's off their site. Because I believe it's, I believe it may be part of the state park.
Yeah. Well, let me ask you a question. The state did not identify any potential archaeological site on your site, whether it's in a disturbed area or not. Is that correct?
That's correct.
So if they did identify one, even if it was in a non-disturbed area, you would need probably to acknowledge it, and
Right. They
this
didn't,
board would know
yeah,
about
they
it.
didn't acknowledge anything. When we originally had the 250 unit plan, they said, well, if you're going back there, you better start doing some more studies of what's going on. And they said, well, if you keep it to this alternative that keeps it within this road.
Yeah.
Okay.
So there, across the Taconic, there's the Capelli project.
Yes.
That had a known site on it
I know.
that was basically known to New York State, and they let that information out when it was referred up there, and there is a protected site there that site plan was designed around in order to protect it. So this didn't happen here. There may be a site up on the northern part, like you say, in the park, and I'd expect that has some measures to protect it, but I don't know exactly where that is, if it does exist, yeah.
anything else from the board?
Nothing else.
So I have completed the public information. Why don't we have a motion to close this hearing?
Motion.
Second? All in favor? Aye. Okay, with public informational hearing being closed, what's the next for us?
I think you got to go through the recreational components. So there should be a little deep dive into that, or a deep dive. I think you should get your sleeves rolled up on the traffic mitigation scheme, and to the extent that you may feel some improvements are warranted, if any. I don't know. They did a pretty good job with it, but I think you need to understand it fully. You might do the synchro.
Yeah, we're happy
presentation
to.
or something
We're
like that.
happy to bring in our traffic engineer and give a much more detailed presentation than
Yeah.
my Cliff Notes version of it.
I think that.
If you'd
that
like
would be
that,
in
we're,
order,
we're happy to
wouldn't
do that for the next meeting.
it? Yeah, why don't we do that?
That'd be great.
Tie up all these loose ends now.
You guys also had an animated kind of video, an animated kind of video on that
Yes.
you showed the town board. You should bring that, show that to the planning
Okay.
board. I think that would be valuable.
Thank you.
Okay.
And would it be appropriate at this time to schedule a public hearing for the following meeting? I mean, if it is, we would ask for that if that's your pleasure.
Well, I always feel you have to go. You have to be certain of your decision at the time that you make it. So
One more work session on this.
Yeah, I'd really like to see the traffic study and how
Sure.
those lights are gonna work. Route 6 is crazy. to
And we'll
begin
put you on, if that works out well, we'll get you in September.
In September. Okay. That
Okay.
makes sense.
All right.
I appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
We only have one meeting in August and one meeting in September anyway, so,
Really?
yeah.
I'm not gonna be.
Yeah,
here.
I think so.
That's especially hard when you have a night like tonight, because people might not have been able to get here.
Well, yeah. All right, that concludes the agenda for the regular portion of this meeting, so motion to close the session, regular portion,
One more. We got number 7.
work
told
session,
us.
we're going into work session.
Oh,
right?
Jesus, I didn't even see that. Christ,
That's all right.
I'm losing it.
All right,
Motion to close the regular session.
motion to close the regular session, second, all in favor?
Aye.
Work session now, we have one item on the agenda, which is Toll Brothers. Further discussion on a site plan and minor subdivision. The property is located at 2448 Catherine Street. Good evening.
Good evening, Mr. Acting Chairman, members of the board. David Cooper, partner with the law firm of Zarin and Steinmetz, here representing the applicant and contract vendee for the site, Toll Brothers. With me tonight is Diego Villarreal and Paul Dumont from JMC. Unfortunately, Kevin couldn't be with us tonight. He's got a conflict in another meeting, so you just have us.
Okay.
We are here tonight for a continued review. We wanted to dive deeper into some of the weeds of the project in terms of wetland mitigation, landscape plan, stormwater, et cetera. So I will turn it over to JMC, to Diego, to take you through it in a moment. I know at the last meeting we had said we would schedule the public hearing for August. So at the end of our presentation and any questions, et cetera, we'd ask that the public hearing be formally scheduled. So, thank you.
Fair enough.
Good evening, all. Again, for the record, Diego Villarreal with JMC. Good to see everybody again this evening.
Good evening.
Again, just we'll step back and just go through again some of the existing conditions, take you through the proposed conditions, and then some of the other plans and documents that were prepared and submitted since our last meeting. We dove into a little bit more detail on the tree mitigation, the wetland mitigation plans, prepared some additional plans which were included in the most recent submission to the board. Just a couple of slides for you this evening. The first one is an aerial photograph of the property itself. This just shows the existing conditions on there. Again, the property is a little over 50 acres in size. Catherine Street is off to the left-hand side of the page. Field Street is off to the right or to the east. Glassberry Court is to the west. And then the Aqueduct Trail is to the north. It runs along the north property line in that area there.
Can I correct you?
Sure,
just-
yes, you can. I caught myself, but go ahead.
Aqueduct is not a trail.
Yes.
Okay.
You can see the existing conditions on the property here, and what we actually did was superimpose the topography on there. So it just gives you a sense of what's happening with the topography and the land area that goes along the property itself. You can see the high point on the southern portion of the page, and then everything kind of dives off to the east and to the north. There is the wetlands that's located on the eastern side of the property that's highlighted in blue. And then there's the buffers that are associated with that. In addition to the wetlands on the eastern side of the property, there is a watercourse that runs in the north-south direction right there. And then there are the buffers associated with that as well. There are some existing utilities that run through the property itself. There's sanitary sewer lines that run directly through, traverses the property in an east-west direction, and that's something that we had to take into consideration when we developed that site plan as well. If we could go to, actually, stick to that slide just for a quick second. This does, I think, graphically shows the subdivision. If you could zoom out just a touch, Paul. Just we could touch on the subdivision, which is part of the application that's before this board. In addition to the site plan, it is subdividing the property on that bottom portion of the page. The northern side, which will house the Toll Brothers development, is just a little over 48 acres in size. And then that bottom portion of it is a little over 2 acres in size. So that you could see just where the line is situated. It includes the existing field home building itself, and that would be situated on its own parcel. Just again, gives you a good idea of what the subdivision plan and what the plat looks like. What this does not show is the restriction and the easement that's going to be provided along the eastern side of the property there, where the wetlands and the conservation area is going to be created. That's shown on this plan here, and you can see that light shaded area, all of which will be placed into a conservation easement that will also be included on the plat drawing itself. Again, the project includes 118 townhomes, and you can see those centrally located on the property there. The driveway access is via 2 curb cuts. There's one on the northern portion of the page that loops in and around, circles down towards the southern portion of the property, and then comes out a little further south. There's that second connection into Catherine Street itself. Again, most of the proposed development itself is a continuous loop that comes back, with the exception of that small leg that extends to the south that terminates in a cul-de-sac. That's on the southern portion of the page there. All of the driveways are designed 24 feet wide. They all take into consideration fire access requirements, turning radii, all the things that are required from a fire access standpoint and a fire code standpoint. Even where the hydrants are located, they flare out to 26 feet as required by your code. So there's certain areas throughout the site, the access road widens just a bit for the fire hydrant locations as well. Each of the buildings, flash flood warnings. It's the it'll stop.
Stay off the road.
It's everybody's.
I'm staying in tonight.
Southern Westchester is in bad shape.
You notice how
Very
low the
bad shape.
attendance is?
That's where our chairman is.
Northern's not so bad, but southern is bad. Yep. Maybe, Paul, we could just zoom in just a touch, show the clusters of the buildings themselves. All the buildings you can see are situated in their 3- and 4-pack clusters. Each of them, obviously, you could see each individual unit within them has its own driveway access to its own garage. All of these buildings are designed, again, with the access in the front with the garage, and then the sidewalks that provide access to the entry of the building itself. The way the topography is and the graded slopes, you know, again, this site plan has been designed to work with the grades on the property. So if you recall what I said, if you could zoom back out, Paul, if you don't mind. The bottom left-hand side is really at the high point of the site, and then everything kind of slopes off from there. So you can see the driveway really follows the topography, and that allows us to tuck the units into the grade in some areas. It allows for opportunities to have walkouts on these units that are on the downhill side or the right-hand side of the page. And again, these are just techniques that we use with the buildings and the designs to limit the amount of disturbance and disturbance needed to the site. use the building as sort of a retaining wall. You have that walkout off the backhand side of the page, and it just works well with the site plan itself and limits the amount of disturbance that is needed. There are some retaining walls. You can see them scattered out throughout the site. We utilize those when needed to make up some of the grade change in the elevation between these different areas along the different sides of the page there. There are improvements. Again, it's not something you could really see graphically on the plans itself, but as part of the site improvements are being done along Catherine Street. There are the curbing and riprap improvements that are all required along a portion of Catherine Street, and that's detailed on the site plans that were submitted to the board. Just diving in, if you could zoom back out again. You could see the landscaping that is involved. We developed a very robust landscaping plan that was included in the package. It includes a significant amount of landscaping that's being provided throughout the site, but also meets a number of the conditions of the approval that was attached to the zoning. There was screening that was required for the amenity space. If you could actually zoom into the amenities area. The amenity area is located on the northern portion of the site, just when you come in. There's pickleball courts, there's the clubhouse building, the pool area, all of which is situated in that portion of the property there. And then the landscaping is all provided in that area to provide screening. Zoom back out, if you don't mind. Great. Again, supplemental screening along the frontage of the property. As you go further down, keep going. There we go. And then also screening provided between the toll development and the field home building to the south. That's proposed to remain there. Since the last meeting, we did take this landscaping plan, which also served as our wetland mitigation plan, and we kind of pulled the two apart and provided a detailed wetland mitigation plan that zooms into the area where disturbances are proposed within wetland buffers. I do think it's important to note again that there's no wetland disturbances that are being proposed. It's only within the buffer areas themselves, and those have been shown and detailed on that plan as well. You want to flip to that plan, please? Zoom out. One too far. There you go. So this plan, again, was included in the submission set, and it specifically identifies plantings and improvements that are being done within the wetland buffers and the areas on the eastern portion of the site, the landscaping that's being provided, seed mixtures that's being utilized along the different slopes and the areas within those buffers. And then there's also a table that's been provided which gives you a breakdown of the disturbances within the buffer areas themselves, and it provides the areas that's being mitigated. So all of the area that is any disturbances that were created within the wetland buffer, it's a total of about 56,000 square feet, all of which is being mitigated with the plan that's before you. It's actually 68,000 square feet, and the mitigation ratio is about 1.2 in this case. So this, again, just dives into some of the details, including the specific plantings that are being identified in and around the wetland area itself. We also provided the detailed information on the tree mitigation that is required. There is a chart that's provided on the plans themselves that identifies the total number of trees to be removed, the number of trees that are proposed to be planted, and then what is being mitigated via the tree fund. There is a total of just under $250,000 that will be contributed to the tree fund or tree bank as part of the project for plantings that are not being provided on site. Again, we're doing a significant amount of plantings. There's over 800 trees that are proposed to be planted on site, but again, with the amount of removals that is occurring on the site, we're mitigating the balance of that via the tree fund itself. If we could go just to the utility plan there. And then finally, and just to dive in to some of the details, we did develop a detailed utility plan. All of the sewer and water improvements are shown throughout. There you go. Sorry, you're fine. Want me to wait a second, or?
That's right.
I'll take it.
Want me to pause for a minute and take a quick break? Or?
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, keep going.
I will keep on.
Okay. So again, developed a full utility plan that was included in the plan. It's in the drawing set that was provided to the board. Sanitary sewer, water improvements, electric improvements, all of which is shown on the plan. In addition to that, we did develop a detailed stormwater management plan. This was something that we worked closely with the DEP as well as your town engineer's office. A number of different stormwater practices are provided throughout the property itself, including on the northern portion. We have bioretention area, stormwater basins, infiltration basins, all of which is being used to mitigate the new impervious areas that's being created. Because again, we are clearing existing wooded or vegetated areas, new impervious areas. You need stormwater management to mitigate that, and there's a comprehensive and robust plan that's been provided that includes those bioretention areas on the northern portion of the site. Again, underground infiltration systems near the clubhouse. And then there's a large detention basin that's located on the eastern portion of the site where Paul's marking the plan right now. This is consistent with the previous plan that was provided. There was always a basin in that area, and it was actually that basin that had direct disturbances to wetlands during the original plan that was presented during the zoning process. Working with the DEP, we were able to make some changes to that. We were able to rework it in and around that area. We stayed away from the wetland itself, but as the planning director had indicated in one of the memos, there was a water course in that area that we had some impact to. We've made some revisions to the plan in the most recent submission, and we stayed away from that water course, and we don't have any disturbance. We're adjacent to it, but we're not disturbing that water course. And we preserve the wetland buffer just to the east of that as well. So I think we found kind of a happy medium, something that balances disturbance within those different buffers and doesn't impact directly any of the wetlands.
Do you still have a wall there
Yes,
to help?
there's a small retaining wall that follows the, you could zoom in, you could see it right on the plan. And again, one of the things that we need to provide is a maintenance access path around the perimeter of the stormwater basin. It's really intended to.
All the roads are blocked.
Really?
My grandson's on the road coming home. Okay.
It's really intended to provide access around the perimeter of the basin itself. So it's just right in that area. Yes, John, there's a small retaining wall. It's only about 2.5 feet high. It's just something that we use to line that area, provides a little separation from that water course, and then still allows us to provide that path.
We're looking at the July 3rd plans, right?
Yes, this is the one.
So I guess my question is that, as designed, that kind of long leg that pushes to the north of the basin kind of seems to wedge itself in between the water course and the 100-foot boundary to that water course.
Yes.
Okay. But the other wetland buffer is kind of coterminous with it. And so I wonder why we get so close to this water course when we could kind of split the difference between those two buffers and potentially do less damage to the wetlands themselves by straddling the two buffers, so to speak, which may reduce. When I look at the wall, I get concerned that some of the hydrology that feeds the storm may be interrupted in some fashion, because it seems to sort of hook around what looks to be, if there is a headwater to this water course, it's in that area, I think. But I don't know that we know how all of this stuff is coming in there and getting into informing that water course. So that's kind of a concern. I wonder if that leg just doesn't pivot over and straddle those two and make them both more well protected.
It easily can. That's a balancing act between the two. We took the approach, again, the wetlands is specific to that area, and the buffer is an area that, again, protects that wetland and is something that's utilized adjacent to that area with specific plantings. When I think of a watercourse, especially in this area, it's just the start of what is the watercourse. It's not a watercourse that's traversing this entire property like it is on the eastern side of the property itself. There's no wetlands associated with this watercourse, that is my understanding. It's really just the start of where the water collects and makes its way further north.
Right.
But to your point, you can certainly shift this over a touch, and that was something that we were contemplating, and is that a better strategy here? Happy to take a look at that and show you what that would look like, and we can certainly do that. It would just increase the wetland buffer disturbance, but it would decrease your watercourse buffer disturbance. So it's really,
It would increase it?
it would increase your wetland buffer disturbance,
Right, and
but it would decrease your watercourse buffer disturbance the same amount.
Right,
So
okay.
it's really just balancing the two, however it gets determined to be most appropriate.
It seems so close to the watercourse, I'll be honest with you, that I wonder if it will not affect it in the long term, but also, just the construction impacts during, building the wall. I don't know if it's gonna be easy to build it from the other side, and et cetera, so.
Again, it's a very, I hope everybody understands, it's a very small wall. It's only something about 2.5 feet, maybe 3 feet high at its highest point. It was something just used to make up the grade to create that path.
I
But
understand why
again,
you got it there, yeah.
to your point, John, we can shift it over a touch. If that's the desire of the board, we can certainly shift that over a bit to better balance it.
Okay.
Okay?
And I don't know I know you've touched on it, but the difference between the disturbance in the DEIS plan and the disturbance in this plan, in terms of buffer and wetland and or watercourse? impacts?
So when we went back and forth, do you have this numbers for that? Yeah, if you wanna, can put it right up and we'll zoom right into those specific numbers. This just gives you a quick understanding of it. So, my sight, even more, Paul, sorry. Eyes are getting worse and worse. So you can see we provided a chart which provides the breakdown and the difference between the zoning petition submission, this site plan approval submission, and then the difference between the two. I'm going to jump right down to that third line. The total disturbance on the zoning petition submission was just about 2 acres. We are at about 1.3 acres with this plan, so we're about 0.7 acres less. And again, we have no wetland disturbance. The zoning petition submission contemplated a disturbance to an actual wetland itself, and that's been eliminated, and we're just dealing with buffers. So we reduced the wetlands disturbance, we reduced the buffer disturbances based on all of the improvements that we did with these plans.
The board could always ask our environmental consultant to look at these revisions from the DEIS plan.
Is this something we'll be able to look at the site inspection tomorrow?
Yes. You have to walk down the road and up
It's
but there's two ways. There's 2 ways we're gonna go in.
bring your boots.
You go in from the top, and then you walk around, and you come in from the bottom. So
We might need a machete
I don't recommend traipsing all the way through.
and long pants. So
Yes.
just
Okay,
we'll need it all.
We can do that.
but I think we should examine the the specific differences, if there are significant things like you're pointing out, between the earlier submission and this one. We want to make sure it's properly the changes are reviewed.
Again, John had brought that one up, a very valid point. We went back as part of our last submission, provided that table and that breakdown to provide the comparative analysis with the disturbance areas. But as far as unit counts, driveway layout, things like that, all of that remains identical
Okay.
to what was done before. There's no changes from that standpoint.
Diego, could you quickly, if it's possible, quickly describe, as we're looking at this wetland here, and then there's this slope that you're creating to get up to the
That's a
table that
contractor's
you're placing the units on?
Yeah, why don't we go back to the grading plan itself?
If you could
Captain Street.
go through how you're stabilizing those, what the treatment will be in terms of any landscaping. You know, and I want to point out to the board that that slope right there looks to be somewhere in the neighborhood of about 32 to 38 feet, something like that. Is that correct?
The overall grade change, you're talking about the vertical grade change?
Yeah, say if you're standing
take a
on the,
look at
on the
it.
little maintenance road that you've created with the wall,
Yeah.
you're looking up about 30
Why don't we
something
look
feet.
at the exact grades? Why don't we zoom in real quick and just give an exact number there? Touch, what's that elevation? And, yep, and we're going up to about 435 at the back of the unit itself, right there. What is that, 438? Mm-hmm. So yeah, you have that slope. So again, think of the topography of this site. We're at the high point on the southwestern portion of the site, and then everything kind of slopes down away from it to the north and to the west. We take advantage of those grade changes, and we set roadways at these different elevations, and we set the units there so that they're walkouts on the downhill side, and then things are graded. This is actually an excellent cross-section. Gives you an idea of what the cross-section through the site looks like. If you could, you gotta zoom in. Yep, thank you. Okay. And that shows you, if we could just situate ourselves, yeah, so maybe we zoom in on the right-hand side, because that's the slope that John was referring to just now. Zoom in right to those two buildings right there. Yeah, that's perfect. So that is the area I think that we're really talking about, and you could see what's being done with these units there. So the topography and the slope is consistent. We flatten out right in the middle where the proposed roadway is. You have units on either side of the page. And then you could see right where it says proposed grade, that's the slope that's being referred to right there. And that shows the grade change about 30 feet or so, 25, 30, 35 feet, depending where you are along that area. That is being done at a 2.5 or 3 to 1 slope ratio. So although it sounds somewhat steep, it's a relatively gradual grade that's being done. That is stabilized using a combination of grass and different seed mixtures. It is an area that would be stabilized with vegetation as it's being constructed. The lower portion of the site meets the existing grade, right where you can see that tree is, just to the right, and that's where we meet the existing grade. If we could go back to the plan for a second.
So the percentage slope here is in the 30s, right? That you're creating?
Percentage slope, yeah, it sounds about right, yeah.
30, 32, 34.
Correct, on
depending.
grass slopes, yep. So,
And the treatment is what?
well, let me just pull the landscaping plan. There's specific treatment of those areas with slope seed mixtures and things that would be done. So I'll pull that information and I can show exactly what it is that's being done there. But it's vegetated in that area there. There's landscaping that's being provided on the uphill side and the downhill side, so it kind of frames the slope to a certain degree. But all of the area is being treated and stabilized. Again, when we get into 1-on-1, 1.5-on-1, 2-on-1 slopes, those are a little bit steeper. Those you start to get into different types of stabilization methods. But when you're on that 2.5-on-1, really anywhere from a 2 to 3-on-1 slope, those you can use your seed mixtures and things where you're able to stabilize it in that fashion.
So no geogrid or anything to stabilize it?
No, I don't believe we have any of that. We'll check the set of plans just to see, but yeah, I know we're not expecting any structural reinforcing of those areas there.
Now, I notice you do have a wall that kind of pops up in the middle of the other uphill slope, uphill from the one we're talking about.
Yeah, go down, Paul.
What's the purpose of that?
Right there, that one?
Yeah.
That's, again, just to make up the grade change between the two buildings. You have units that are sitting on the high side, you have units that are sitting on the low side, and it's really the driveway grades. You got to look at the driveway grades themselves. We're limited with what we can do with our driveway grades, how much we can slope them for utility purposes, and then you have the buildings themselves. So the roadways get situated and you grade those out, and then you have to meet the grade in between. In that one area where we're closest between the two buildings, and what you can see very quickly when you go to the north and you go to the south, the units start to spread apart because the ones on the left-hand side are wrapping around the curve in that area, so we have more room to work. Right in that area there, there's some small retaining wall or retaining wall that's needed between those units because that's the smallest area that we have. So it was just an opportunity again to help make up the grade between the two. We have a retaining wall there, and then there's a swale that's been constructed or will be constructed behind the units on the right-hand side of the page, and that's designed to take any stormwater back to a bioretention area that's designed on the top portion of the page itself. So again, it's a combination of a lot of different factors that resulted in the need for the retaining wall, the use of these bioretention areas, nice green practices, things that you like to incorporate in our stormwater design, but then also the vegetation, the landscaping, and then the slopes of the roadway that drives the grading between the units themselves.
And that one is also a delta of about 36 or 7 or 8 feet, right?
Between the units themselves, yes. Yep. So those units sit 111 to 88 or so, sit at that grade change there. Yep.
And your cut and fill is balanced?
Yes, a lot of work went into that. So working with Toll, that is one of the first things that we dive into from an earthwork standpoint. You look at your earthwork, you look at your cuts and fills. Again, some of the retaining walls get used on that. The intention for when you have a site of this size and you're dealing with something like that, we always strive to be balanced from an earthwork standpoint. So we're not importing a tremendous amount of material or exporting a tremendous amount of material, creating unnecessary trucks coming to and from the site. So long-winded answer to your question, yes, the site is balanced.
One other question on that, in that regard, is the area that received some of the organic material from off-site, how are you using that material?
I don't know, John.
Don't know,
That's
okay.
something I'd have to look into. I don't know the answer to that question, but I can certainly look into it. And
You
find-
know,
you're talking about organic material that's on the site, and where does it get balanced?
Yeah, there's
between-
basically an organic dump there,
Yeah.
basically.
So again, all of that gets contemplated within the earthwork analysis. There's pockets, there's assumptions that are made within it. And then that material is obviously not used underneath buildings and things like that. It could be used in other portions of the property where you have landscaping and things like that. I don't have a direct answer, but that's usually the way it's contemplated, but we could certainly get that for you.
And that will come forth in some of our discussions here. And
Sure, yeah. Again, that's not, usually that's not a detail, the exact earthwork numbers and
Yeah,
things like that, but we
I
could
understand.
certainly provide that if you
Yeah,
want to see it.
It's a, kind of a big area. There's a lot of stuff there.
No, no.
Came up earlier on. They did some testing and
Yep, we could provide information. Okay.
I just have one question. Are these buildings going to have basements?
Some of them are, yeah, so they're designed, you see, for instance, on the right-hand side of the page there, 17, 18, 19, 20, those units, they're all designed with a lower level because you have that walkouts on the other portion or the other side of the page there. So all of them have a level below the driveway themselves. And then the units on the other side, everything, do you have the floor plans themselves? If you could pull them up.
Don't.
Just we could confirm exactly the size of the basements and everything that's being
And
provided.
how do you handle the drainage from the roofs? How far out from the buildings do you put that?
Everything's picked up via drainage systems. So because we are again, we're within the DEP watershed, we have to develop a detailed stormwater pollution prevention plan. The roof drain leaders are actually picked up via drainage pipes that are going to be installed. They're not spilling off at grade.
How far out do those pipes go?
They don't go, they get taken to the different stormwater management practices. So they don't spill off at grade and then all of a sudden you see a daylight. They get picked up and they get put into our stormwater management systems.
footing drains as well.
Footing drains depends on the area and what's there, but those usually are daylighted if you have a footing drain. Footing drains are a little bit different than roof drain leaders, obviously.
See you tomorrow.
That's a tough job to build.
Any other questions? Have you completed your presentation?
I'm happy to answer any questions. Yeah, that's pretty much everything I wanted to cover, but again, happy to answer any other.
Any questions from the board?
Who's, do we all know where we're meeting tomorrow?
One of the
Is it
parking
5
lots.
o'clock or 4:30?
4 o'clock. 4 o'clock.
4?
4:30. If you want to meet at 4, we'll be out there at 4
4:30?
at the site. So you go into the field home, and you know it has the ring.
Yeah.
It's going to be on the north end of the ring,
Okay.
closest to this property. So there's some grass there we can probably park our cars on.
So we'll meet at the field home, that's where we would.
Yeah, on the end of the ring road. And we'll just walk in, there's the drive there, and then if they want to walk down and go down the trail, we can do that.
Ken, curious to see what it is tomorrow, so.
See what it's like
A
tomorrow.
lot of rain.
Okay.
Any other questions from the board?
Did you have any interest in having our environmental person pick this up again, or?
I think so. I would like to make sure that any of the significant changes in this latest version get reviewed and, you know, commented on for our benefit.
Again, happy to provide information. I just would reiterate again, we did reduce the amount of disturbances. We didn't
Understood.
increase it at all, but we could provide that information and have that reviewed for sure.
And then what?
I think we're already scheduled for the public hearing, right, in August. We just have to do the notice itself, right?
Is that right? Any reason we should go ahead with that, right? I think we should proceed with the public hearing, right, at this point?
You have it set up for the August, right?
August, yeah.
Right, we'll talk to our environmental person. And
Okay.
try to get them squared away, but I think there'll be, after the public hearing, there's gonna be a little bit more time just to, you know.
We'll have more time.
I think have some things that you're still looking at, so.
Okay.
probably.
Thank you.
Anything else? All right,
Great. Safe home tonight,
see
everyone.
you tomorrow.
Thank you.
Good night, take care. Hope you get home because.
All right, that completes our business. Motion to adjourn.
Motion?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Most
Get
of
home safely. Are we staying here tonight?
We'll have to sleep.
I think